Thank you for tuning in to TalkWad.com, the world's fastest growing internet radio network. Please check out all the other great shows on www.talkwad.com.
Welcome, America, to Amendment1Radio.com, where your First Amendment rights are still safe to say what's on your mind.
Hey, good afternoon. It's 5 p.m. My name is Catherine K. Guns, and this show is called Firearms Talk. I have 15 years experience with handling firearms, 2 years as a firearms dealer, and then one day I took a concealed weapons permit course, and I learned more in that 3.5 hours than I did in the 15 years experience that I had handling firearms. Right after that, I became a firearms instructor. I'm currently a range officer, and I enjoy teaching and learning every day. This show is brought to you by sponsors and advertisers and people like you. And I wanted to thank Nolan from the TalkWad Radio Network for, without him, none of this could be possible. We have 2 studios, one in Tampa and one in Clearwater. So that's from the TalkWad Network. So it's www.talkwad.com. If you want to become a sponsor or an advertiser, you can always call in. Or if you just want to be your own radio talk show host, which is pretty darn cool. If anybody can do it, I did it, so anybody can, right? The number is 727-493-2055. That's also for guests that want to call in and speak what's on their mind. The phone number would be, again, 727-493-2055. So this is, I guess Gerald might be coming in a little bit later. Not for sure. So I was wondering how everybody's weekend was going. But as I was surfing through, I'm sure you guys have been watching the news and the funny stuff about what Joe Biden had to say. I don't know where he was coming from that, but, I wish Gerald was here to ask that question, but maybe we'll ask him later when he shows up. But so I got on the internet and I started checking out things with some of my favorite writers and stuff. And Jason Hansen wrote this article on February 19th, which was just a few days ago. And he says, why do you need to start training with a 3x5 index card? Actually, was that a few days ago? Yeah. All right. So basically what he wrote here was really, really profound, and I liked it. And I always like reading his articles. So here we go. So why do you need to start training with a 3x5 index card? I'm a competitive person and I hate losing. Just ask my wife, who kicked my butt every time we played Scrabble when we were dating. I refuse to play anymore. However, when it comes to being a more accurate shooter, it is important that we lose often. What I mean is, I often be at the shooting range and I'll see some shooter with a target 4 feet away, hitting the bullseyes every time. The shooter is happy and his buddies are congratulating him, and however, the shooter is not challenging himself or testing his limits. And it's obvious that if he never tests himself, then he'll never improve his draw. He'll never become more accurate or never become an accurate shooter overall. So if you'd like to challenge yourself, I recommend these 2 simple items, a timer and a 3x5 index card. Since each shooter has different levels of experience, let's just be honest with yourself. Set the timer where it should be. In other words, if you're brand new and you still are working on your draw, don't set the timer at 1.5 seconds. If you can't get anywhere close to that, set the timer where you have just barely enough time to get the shot off, and then reduce the time from there. As far as the index card, put one on the on the head of the area of the target with your timer set. Draw and fire one round only at the index card. And again, going back to the levels of experience, if you're new, you might need to start with this drill from a distance of 5 yards, but then move it to 7, then 10, and etc. You are going to miss. From experience, I can tell you that if you're really pushing yourself, you're going to miss and probably miss often. But eventually, as you work on the fundamentals of improving your draw and your trigger control, you'll start getting a lot more hits on the 3x5 card. And when you start getting all of your hits, 5 yards, then you move the 3x5 card back to 7 yards and then back on to 10 yards and so on. Another drill I like to do with the 3x cards is put one card on the head of the target and another card on the body of the target. Where the timer beeps, I fire 1 round at the head and then 1 round at the body. Hey, Gerald, get your butt in here. He's laughing at me right now. Also, I'm a big believer that until you're able to constantly hit the 3x5 card, you should only draw from and fire 1 round at the card. If you draw the gun and you empty your magazine, only at least 3 rounds hit the card, that doesn't really matter. Because in a gunfight, that would mean that you've had 12 rounds go somewhere else. But most importantly, you're probably dead. So the next time you head to the range, bring a timer, index cards, and fire 1 shot, and 1 shot only at the time. And remember, it's okay to miss. You need to challenge yourself, and if you miss, in order to get better. So you don't compare yourself to the fellow next to you who's hitting the bullseyes every time from 2 feet away. So that was written by Jason Henson, and I really like what he has to say. It is so good to see you. We have to wait until he gets his earphones on so everybody can hear him. How you doing?
Lousy. Traffic sucks.
I know, and so I even waited. It was like it normally starts at 4:30, but I waited for you. I did.
Well, actually, I sent you a couple texts. I sit there and say, "Are we at 4:30 or 5:30 today?"
Oh, I never got them. I'm sorry. So, what did you think about Biden's response about just buy a shotgun? Did you see that?
Yeah, actually, I heard it. And you know something that's really sad to say, I think that he would be your perfect person for everybody out there on gun ranges that would be the perfect target. He'd be a great practice dummy, and have him run out there and let's say, hey, let's have a national shoot a politician day because he's too damn stupid to understand anything else.
Often we don't do as Gerald says, although we all fantasize about it.
Yeah, because actually I went to a gun range one time and I told them, I said, hey guys, if I could sit out there and put politicians on the papers, could I use them and go out there and sell them? And actually there was a couple at a gun show that I seen last year that they sold out of them super fast. But then I found out it's a felony offense to go in there and put a politician's picture and use it as a target.
I would have figured so too,
Yeah.
just because they don't like the defacing.
Yeah,
So, but
it's just like, but it's okay for them to deface every dime out of our pocket.
oh
So,
yeah, I was
yeah.
also watching on C-SPAN today the sequential or you're
Yeah.
laughing at me because I can't pronounce it.
That's okay. I have a hard time too.
Yeah.
Sequential or some shit like that.
Yeah, what are they doing to our education system?
It's if the American people would sit down, take a minute, and really look into the political aspects of all these politicians and everything. Here's the thing: politicians go in there, we elect them to their offices. They're elected because of the simple fact that we, as the American people, feel that they are the best qualified for that job because they've went through Harvard and all these other things, and they've worked their way up from the bottom of the political ladder to the top. But now the problem is if they can keep dumbing down Americans, not in a disrespectful way.
No,
but
they really are. If you think about it,
and
with what
it's-
they were talking about
yeah.
today, they're trying to stop Head Start schools
Mhm.
from teaching our young kids to get them ready to learn how to read. And I loved how one of the guys said it. He said, so if a kid has to learn to read and then read to learn, there's going to be a gap. Because if he can't learn to read, then how is he going to read to learn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. When the political, group that they have, I want to call it something else, but probably shouldn't. So, but, and the problem of it is this, as long as they keep the American, pretty much you want to say sequestered. That's what we're looking for.
Yes.
Sequestered. It's just that they keep everybody dumbing down. The politicians can still go in there and, we expect them to know everything that they're doing. So we re-vote them in and they're back in office. But now here's a question that I ask each and every American out there. Who made the physical cliff? Who made the national debt? who created all the problems that we're having? Who's the one that's being ran by Wall Street? And $4 a gallon for gas? Come on, people. Why don't you take a good look at OPEC, go online, check out some of those share stocks that they're doing, and find out what the real price of oil is. Guess what? It's Wall Street manipulating it again, the government, and this bonehead that we have up there with his cabinet members, all of them included. It's just not him because he's still the puppet, but the puppet masters are behind him. So when it's all said and done, wait till you see the next tax that he's trying to push through now. You think that $100 a week you lost was something? Wait till you see what happens by July.
Yeah. While everybody's really, really busy watching all of these TV series that are action-packed, I actually sit down and watch C-SPAN because it's probably the closest I can figure as far as watching, real politics and things like that. I just, and I'm shocked.
Yeah. Oh, hey, if
Yeah.
you want to see something really shocking, watch BBC, the
Yeah.
world news,
Yeah.
because they have more of a grip on everything. Not to mention the fact that their media is not bought and paid for by our government. So that way, if you say something bad about them, then you lose your press credentials at all these so-called conventions and speeches and, all of this kind of stuff. And it's just, it's ridiculous. I hate to say it, but I've heard many people now within the past 6 months that sit there and said, it's a disgrace to be an American under the government ruling that we have right now.
Yeah. Unbelievable. So
Right.
when does your show come on tonight?
6:30.
6:30. So if you guys want to learn more about that, I'm not sure what the topics are tonight, but you're very educational in that world.
I just fly by the seat of my pants, and the bottom line is this: I tell people, hey, if you raise a 3-year-old kid from the time that they're 3 years old all the way to 21, and if you tell them the sky's black, naturally, when they're 21 years old, somebody says, hey, what color is the sky? It's black. Well, guess what? The same theory applies to if you followed your parents and they were Democrats, you're a Democrat. If you followed your parents and they were Republicans, you're a Republican. Now, what does each party stand for? 90% of the people don't know. So guess what? When it's all said and done, you're SOL. And it kills me to see how a politician can go into an office for 4 years making $145,000 to $165,000 and come out a multimillionaire. Isn't it nice that the government provides their salaries for life, their insurance for life? They're trying to even get it passed to where they can get protection for life because all the presidents, retroactive all the way to Jimmy Carter, now have security details on them, thanks to Obama. And, with that, all their stuff's taken care of. But, hey, if you want to sit there and stop that, vote them out. We've got 2 years. You better make a hell of a difference because in 2016, wait till you see the real wolf in sheep's clothing that's coming out.
Yeah, what a mess. Anyways, and it directly affects all of us in one way or another. They're trying to divide us or dumb us down. So that's why I always say, become an NRA. You sponsor them.
Yep.
Become a member and do everything you can to because we're under attack on every level, even right down to the school teachers being told that, well, we're going to shut you down because we'd rather have our payroll than you have a payroll.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
Yeah.
what I summed up out of it.
Well,
So,
it's, the sad part about it is we as Americans, we have to sit there and listen to what government says and all these different shows and everything like that. And it's just like right after 9/11. And my theory has been true. It's always been true. And it's followed through time and time again. American people will not give up their rights. They will not pay extra taxes at all. But now you go out and you create something that scares them, that they're worried about, their money, or they're worried about the boogeyman in their backyard. And guess what? We'll sign any damn thing to sit there and make sure that the government will take care of us. Well, hey, how you like them tax breaks there, people?
yeah. Just about 9 months ago, I was talking to a range buddy of mine who I said, how do you think they're going to do it? How do you think that they're going to take the guns away from us? Because they want to. And I have goosebumps from it. It's uncanny, and we often talk about it all the time. They're going to make us hate the guns. That's exactly what they're going to do. So, Adam, are you still available? I wanted to show this YouTube video that I had found. It's a definition of AR-15 versus a regular shotgun or what was it, a sporting rifle. It was actually the real true definition. So if you want and you're ready, let's go ahead and play that so that you people can see what I'm talking about on that. All right, that'd be awesome. I think.
Hey guys, welcome back. So today I want to talk to you guys about assault rifles. I want to show you the difference between a modern sporting rifle and a true military assault rifle. There's a big buzz going on right now out there on the internet and in the news media about assault rifles and the current, administration's attempt to ban assault rifles. What they're hoping to ban aren't assault rifles. Assault rifles were banned in 1986. This is a standard modern sporting rifle. It's an AR-15. This rifle looks identical to a true assault rifle. This is an assault rifle. What makes them different? Well, what the administration and Dianne Feinstein would have you believe is that this rifle, because of its collapsible stock, its black plastic furniture, its pistol grip, that's what makes this an assault rifle, and that is not what an assault rifle is. An assault rifle has a very clear definition that they're ignoring. This AR-15 is not an assault rifle. It looks just like the M16 I showed you guys a few seconds ago, the M4. However, it has one key functional difference. This rifle looks like an assault rifle, but that does not make it an assault rifle. A pistol grip doesn't make this an assault rifle. A collapsible stock does not make this an assault rifle. Rails and black plastic furniture or brown furniture do not make this an assault rifle. This rifle, when it's loaded, can only fire one shot for every pull of the trigger, like this. That's as fast as this rifle can shoot. I mean, you can pull the trigger faster, but it does not fire fully automatic. That is the key functional difference between this rifle and a true assault rifle. That was 30 rounds. Let me show you the difference between this rifle and an assault rifle. Here's a real assault rifle. Put the magazine in it. Charge it. Now it can fire semi-automatic just like a sporting rifle, but this is where it differs. That was 30 rounds total. You'll notice that it fired much more quickly. That's because this is a machine gun. Very, very different. This rifle was banned in 1986. All assault rifles were banned already in 1986. No new assault rifles like this one can be sold to civilians. These were grandfathered, that's how I came into possession of this one, and this is an NFA item. This rifle is registered with the National Firearms Act. Dianne Feinstein wants to force you to pay a $200 tax and do all the paperwork, get pictures, get fingerprints, get Clio sign-off or law enforcement sign-off to own a look-alike. This rifle. So when the media tells you that the assault rifle needs to be banned, it's already been banned, folks. This is not an assault rifle. When Congress goes back into session after the first of the year, actually next week, they're going to introduce a bill, they being Democrats, they're going to introduce a bill to ban magazines over 10 rounds. The logic behind this ban is that they're going to save lives. Now, the ban will not take away existing magazines. It will only ban the manufacture of new magazine. There are literally hundreds of millions of magazines over 10 rounds in circulation currently. It's not going to take them away. It's just going to ban them. These magazines are not serial numbered. There's no way to track them. They're going to ban the sale and transfer of those magazines as well. That means if you have them, you can keep them, but you can't sell them or give them to friends or anything else. If you do, it'll probably be a felony. What I want to do is show you the difference between a magazine over 10 rounds. I'm going to use 20 rounds in a 30-round magazine. I have 20 rounds loaded here. I have 2 targets set up downrange. I'm going to engage those 2 targets, firing back and forth for a total of 20 rounds. After that, I have two 30-round magazines here that have 10 rounds loaded each to simulate a banned magazine or a magazine ban magazine. So there's 10 rounds each for a total of 20 rounds. I'm going to have to fire 10 rounds, reload, and continue firing. We're going to do this on the shot timer. We're going to see how much time difference there is between a reload to fire off 20 rounds, either 20 from a full magazine or 20 from one magazine or 10 rounds from two. So here we go. Go ahead. All right, that was 20 rounds, and I'm aiming and engaging each target. I'm going to do the same thing now with two 30-round magazines, each loaded with 10 rounds. What was the time on that? 15.30. 15.30 seconds for that 20 rounds fired on two targets. We're going to do that again with the reload this time. Go. What was the time? 15.57. 15.57, so about a half a second difference. So we're going to face a ban for a half a second. It makes no sense to me. Does it make sense to you? If you have any questions about this, about the assault weapon, what defines one, or about the test here that I showed you in engaging two targets from different magazines with 20 rounds loaded, then two magazines with 10 rounds loaded, you can ask those questions on our Facebook page. You can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/military arms. I also urge each and every one of you to write your congressman. I will put a link below that will make it very easy for you. You need to write your congressman, your senator, and also the President of the United States and let them know that you oppose these bans. They're meaningless. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching that. I hope you people did out there too. I couldn't have said it better myself as far as clarifying what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, great video. I mean, straight to the point. You know,
This is clear as it can get.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't get no better than that.
Yeah.
And definitely, hey, check out the video on it. And definitely, if he's got the sites to go in there and write to your congressman, senator, and the president, people, hey, the pen is mightier than the sword. So, I mean, because, hey, we've been getting pen whipped for the past 25 years through government. So it's about time we show government, hey, what the American people can really do. Because here's the old theory that works very well. If you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So let's give them a taste of their own medicine. Start writing.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. So there was another article that I read on USA Carry that I really, really enjoyed, and I like him a lot. His name is Colonel Benjamin Finley. He was also the one that did the remember we did the 7 most common mistakes of newbie beginners on firearms. So he's written another article that I really enjoyed, and this one's on general legal considerations of use of firearms in self-defense. See right here. I write this article merely to give you some general information and concepts about using firearms and deadly force for self-defense. As a classroom's firearms trainer, and not as an attorney teaching you legal definitions, concepts, doctrine, or strategies, I understand that I am not a licensed lawyer, but I am certainly not offering legal advice, legal opinions, or even any suggestions as to what you should do or not do in the use of a deadly force situation. I leave these decisions solely up to you for your particular situation and for your interpretation and understanding of the laws and of your state and your jurisdictions, which vary tremendously. I just want to help in a general way. So validate my general views from the lawyers who license and practice law in your state. When you decide to carry a gun for self-defense, you have assumed a great responsibility to protect yourself, your family, your friends, and other innocents around you. You must now ensure they understand many complex considerations involved. My goal, and it is probably yours, is to survive a deadly encounter with an assailant, without me or my family being harmed in any way. These include saving lives and saving the lives of my loved ones, not risking criminal prosecution, and not causing a financial bankruptcy or damages to myself and my family from a civil judgment from a civil suit that can be inherited or initiated by anyone. In essence, even for the bad guys and the bad gals, deadly force must be recognized as the last resort to use only when you need to save your life. If you're going to carry or use a gun for self-defense, in addition to being well trained in the safety rules and the basics of shooting, resolving malfunctions, accuracy fundamentals, and tactics, you should be trained and understand the circumstances under which the use of deadly force is warranted, both legally and morally. In my firearms training classes, I include legal considerations, topics, and scenarios, as well as firearms fundamentals and safety. Realistically, there probably is not such a thing as a universally accepted, justified, or a good shoot, or even an in concrete reasonable justification of your use of deadly force in all situations, because that is determined by the judge or the jury, and influenced by your defense attorney. The prosecutor and the interpretation of many involved in the complex factors, in the interpretation of it. It is my lay on non-legal opinion that the subjective interpretation of variables does exist, even in the face of the written, in black and white, specific laws and facts. What is reasonable for one may not be reasonable for another. So white may be the beige, or black may be gray, or involved in many other different colors. And of course, this varies by the individual, or for just for our topic, by jurisdiction and state. So what is justified in using deadly force, and it may be easier in some locations and not in others? Your justification by jurisdiction may involve persuasively influencing in a legal way and interpreting the factors to the arresting officer, state prosecutor, grand jury if involved, trial jury if involved, civil trial jury if involved. So you will have a high degree of certainty. You have to justify your use of deadly force according to the law of your state. You should know the law of your state before your justification. You should, and probably before the incident occurs. Some states have laws to protect you against these civil court cases of using deadly force, like Florida. In some other states, even though you have proven that you were justified in using deadly force, the criminal or the criminal's family are allowed to sue you. For example, in Hawaii and New Jersey, allow civil suits against you, even if deadly force was justifiable. California, Colorado, District of Columbia, Idaho, Maryland, Massachusetts, North Carolina, North Dakota, and Rhode Island are all states that you cannot use more force than is necessary, meaning that you could have defended yourself in any other way than deadly force that would not be justified. I am generally familiar with Florida law, so here is my non-legal understanding about the use of deadly force in Florida, per Florida Statute 776.013. In Florida, and in generally, deadly force should only be used if you reasonably believe that such force is necessary to prevent imminent death and great bodily harm to yourself or another, to prevent imminent commissions of the forcible felony. You reasonably think and believe that you're in immediate danger of being killed or seriously injured. Probably not just a broken arm, okay? And reasonably believe that the immediate force is necessary to prevent the danger. And you use no more force than is necessary to defend against the danger. A non-deadly versus deadly force. You're in a place where you have been let me see, he gives, for an example, non-deadly versus a deadly force, and you're in a place where you have a right to be, but no permission is needed, and not engaged in an unlawful activity. Example, smoking marijuana and robbing someone. If you notice the word reasonably above, this is subjected to the standard is open to interpretation among the states by attorneys, judges, and juries, and it varies. In general, the judge or the jury in some variation of this question, would a reasonable and prudent person in the same situation, knowing what you knew and nothing more at that time, have made the same decision that you made? The judge and the jury will ask themselves whether the danger you perceived was a real and imminent, and whether you were reasonable in your belief that you would be harmed, or whether you were reasonably responded to the danger without excessive use of force. The general guideline under self-defense law is that you are only allowed to use enough force to combat the force that's being used against you. For example, could non-deadly force have been used instead, such as pepper spray, etc.? It is my understanding that use of the lesser degree of force of non-deadly force, which is the force that will not usually cause death or great bodily injury, may generally be used to stop almost any crime, as long as the firearm or any other deadly weapon was not used. In Florida, using excessive force can be a crime or even a felony. Fine example of that, and then I'll read the rest of it. It's even right there on the Florida Department of Agriculture's website, where you go to get your CWP. A scenario: if your neighbor's mad at you, and she says she's going to go over there and kick your butt, she grabs the garden hose and starts swinging it at you, can you shoot her? No, you can't.
Paintball.
Maybe a garden hose. Maybe honestly, the garden hose might hurt. Okay,
Yeah.
but you're not going to die.
No, you can't.
Okay.
You can't shoot her that way, you know?
No. And so that's the point he's trying to say. You can't use it to stop a threat. There has to be that overt action behind it that gives you that, no, I'm going to die kind of mode. So.
Yeah, kind of like the Ted Nugent aspect of that, the whole scenario and stuff, because, I mean, this guy definitely does. He's got some really good valid points and a good portion of it, but also at the same time, the problem in Florida is the key word that they use in there: could you have done something on a lesser degree? And, and a lot of attorneys here really, they manipulate that sentence so bad. And it's just absolutely ridiculous how they do it. And it's just like, why?
Well, that's their job. To turn and twist it. That's exactly their job. I'm sure that there's a lot of viewers out there that have heard of this, and then some that don't. You ever hear of the 3 steps? There's no such thing as that. That is devised by an attorney.
Yep.
And it's not in your favor.
Nope.
It's not in your favor because, okay, if the gun is locked in the glove box of your car and it is unloaded and the ammunition is separate from the firearm, and you're being carjacked, and you have time to unlock your glove box, load the magazine, put the magazine into the firearm and rack it, that shows intent. It doesn't necessarily show that you were in fear for your life. That showed more like, I'm going to get this mother,
Yep. Yeah, and that's where the lawyers have a field day with it. Because they'll beat you to death on it.
Yeah.
And it's just heck. I'll give you a good example of a case that I knew about when I was in high school. My neighbor at that time that lived across the street from me, the guy had a steel plate in his head. He also had a .357 shell in his head too, because he broke into a store and tripped the alarm. When the cops got there, he started shooting at him. They shot him. They shot him in the head. And because of the fact that they did not kill him, that this guy actually, when he fell, he got hurt inside the store. So they actually went in there and he sued the police department here, and he won.
Oh my
He
God.
actually won because of the simple fact, it was the craziest damn thing I ever seen. But the funny thing about it is, I'd sit there and watch this guy drive a car 100 miles an hour down one of the main streets. He would get pulled over by a deputy, and he would sit there and say, "Hey, look, brother, I'm such and such person. Do you really want to try and take me to jail?" And these guys would sit there, and as soon as they called in, he would be released and said, "Slow down."
Yeah.
And it's just because he had that much swagger of suing the police departments and winning, because he got a lot of money from
So
it.
he had a very good lawyer.
Yeah. And and it's just, I'm sorry, folks, I look at I like the idea of my home is my castle. Everything in that house, I am there to protect, life or death, no matter what. You come in there, and if I got kids and a wife and stuff like that there, guess what? You're not going in there. I'm not going to have the mind frame of, oh, let me go get a broom and I'll just swat you out the door. Dude, you walk in my house, I'll shoot your ass right through a wall. With what I've got, I can hit through the wall, my neighbor's wall. And, and it's just, I'm going to take you out. And that's it. And then I don't have to worry about he said, she said. I ain't got to worry about him being hurt. And, and his family wants to sue me, then get ready, because here's the thing. I know my sovereign rights and I know what I can go into a courtroom with. Let them give it a hell of a try, because I tell you what, I'll bet your ass I'll beat you.
Yeah. Here's the sad thing. And I love your spirit, but I've been to a few court cases and it never goes the way you think it's going to go.
Yep.
It just depends on who pays what lawyer the most money.
Yep.
And who cries the loudest and who goes to the media and gets the attention first. It really is.
Yeah, but guess what? They also have a way to go in there and you can have judges removed off their bench for overstepping their boundaries. You can have these other attorneys because,
I know, but you still have to go through the whole process. And,
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's the
but
thing.
it's
It's like,
fun.
so
Yeah.
if you self-defend yourself, just prepare yourself. You will go
Oh, yeah.
through that process.
Oh, you're going to go through it. I mean, and it's just, his idea of a clean shoot and my idea of a clean shoot is, hey, let's start at the Capitol and get a clean shoot going. And,
They're watching me. You know this.
Well, we're going to get more viewers. Hey, guys out there.
Hi.
Hey, well, the funny thing about it is I had a friend of mine that one of their family members was a Secret Service for Junior. And when they sit there and they were asked one time at a family out, and hey, what do you think about this guy? And he's like, when nobody was looking, he'd sit there and say, you know something? This is one of the most arrogant assholes that you ever met in your life. Nobody on the Secret Service, gives a rat's ass about him. And, and it was just like, they didn't care, but they had a job to do and they got paid pretty damn good. So, but I mean, this old boy was like 6'8". I mean, he wore a size 16 shoe. I mean, his hand literally would sit there, and cover your head. I mean, this was a big old boy. I mean, and he
Wow.
was, and he was strong as shit too. I mean, this boy was just huge.
Wow.
So it's like, yep, gives you a whole new meaning and look up to the man.
Yeah. Wow. So in conclusion to his article, another consideration in determining if you have the legal right to defend yourself by using deadly force is the ability to retreat. In some states, they require you to escape in a situation if you can. If you knowingly had a way out of the situation, the state could possibly charge you with murder. The Castle Doctrine law in many states have adopted the means that you have no duty to retreat if you are in your home or in most cases at work. The law varies considerably from state to state, with different definitions in areas of emphasis. Stand your ground law is an extension of the Castle Doctrine, which means you have no duty to retreat anywhere you have the right to be. Florida is an example against the and it varies considerably. I understand that 20 states have a duty to retreat law unless you are unless that you are in your home. And some states with this are Alaska, Arkansas, Connecticut, Delaware, District of Columbia, Hawaii, Iowa, Maine, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, North Dakota, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, and Wyoming. These factors apply in Florida to the interpretation where you can stand your ground and apply your use of deadly force. As a reminder, this is only my non-legal opinion and general understanding for Florida. Number 1, your home, dwelling, and where you live. Example, your house, a temporary rental, a motel room, an igloo, a tent, etc. Number 2, places you rent, lease, pay a membership to, or invited to, golfing club, golf course, gym, health club, gun club, pool, dance club, etc. Number 3, public places that are open to general public. Example, streets, parking lots, roads, sidewalks, parks, and etc. And number 4, your occupied vehicle and the passengers inside that you approve of and invite.
And you know what's actually kind of cool about that? Where they say dance floor. Could you imagine out there seeing a bunch of gals out there shaking their ass? Next thing you know, you see a 45 hit the floor, 357, 9mm shake out. It'd be like, holy cow, you know?
Collect your guns. You got wild imagination, but I like it.
Oh, it's twisted.
So number 4, which I repeated part of it, and then and so I'm going to repeat it over again, which is your occupied vehicle and the passengers inside that you approve of and invite. The states greatly differ in their language and definitions, but in general, for the legal use of deadly force in self-defense, the following questions must be addressed. Number 1, was it justified for the situation? Was it necessary? Could it have been avoided? Was deadly force reasonable? Was death or serious bodily injury imminent? Was a weapon used by the burglar, robber, or the assailant? Was the victim involved in any illegal activity? Okay, that would mean right there, your drug dealer shooting the drug dealer.
Like,
it's not a justified shot.
Yeah, the guy's trying to rob you. Oh, he's just
Yeah, but that was my
vacuum
drug dealer.
cleaner sells. He pissed me off. He cut my stuff in half.
Oh my God. As a just guideline of using deadly force in self-defense will be generally excused only if a gun or other weapon was used by the bad guy or the gal during the commission of the robbery or crime, even if there is a castle doctrine which might allow immunity. The reality of the subjective interpretation remains, so it varies and it depends. It is so frustrating. Recognize that arrest and wrongful death suit probably will happen to you, the good guy or gal, if you will kill or injure a robber or a burglar, for example. Whether a judge or jury will side with you or not, it's an unknown toss-up. Again, so frustrating for the good guy or the good girl. Generally speaking, if you might have to use deadly, lethal force, consider the key legal variables in your area in your area for each incident in advance. Especially know your laws. You're probably saying, "Oh yeah, I will anticipate every possible situation." This, of course, is difficult at any time and very time-consuming, but you will make a trade-off with your goal. Waiting to consider what-if scenarios when they occur may be too late for you to cause you to hesitate, risk your life, and place your life in peril. Anticipating at least some of the possible general scenarios ahead of this time will help. Reading this, it just reminded me also, too, on C-SPAN, I was watching it. They were at the gun range today. Looked really nice out there, and I think it was just outside of Washington. I think it was Virginia. Can't remember. And a lawyer did advise this TV reporter. She was female on there. I wish I could remember her name. But he advised her as he was trying to advise as many people as they can. In New York, they're actually now going into people's households and taking their guns. So they're confiscating. Without any warrants or due process or anything, they are now going into people's houses. I was shocked when I heard it, but I saw it on C-SPAN. So, here's the thing. We are the good guys and the good girls and law-abiding. If they come and they knock on our doors, it wouldn't be advisable to say, no, you don't have a gun when you have a gun. That would be law-breaking.
Yeah.
So what he advised is to plead the fifth. You don't have to answer them.
Yep.
People, you got to realize this. Just because they're law enforcement doesn't mean you have to answer them. You can say, I want my lawyer. You violated my rights. I want my lawyer.
Yep.
You don't have to tell them anything. Now they go through, and I've got a lot of cop friends, they go through tactical training and all kinds of ways to get you to speak because that's their job. But you don't have to say one word.
Nope.
So
called your First Amendment right.
That's right. It's a beautiful thing. So, alrighty. So back to what he was writing there. It says, so here's another important legal consideration. While you may not be guilty in protecting your home, business, your life, or your family's lives, for other from the bad guy or girl, even if you followed the law, it would still cost you about a minimum of $25,000 in self-defense costs or more if it's drawn out for a year or longer. There are other costs to you, not just monetary ones. You may have to spend time in jail. You may have to experience the embarrassment and humiliation. You will miss time at work, and it will cost you wages and perhaps promotions and opportunities. You will pay your defense attorney a large sum of money to defend your righteous actions. You will feel the stress and anxiety of your family, and your family will also. So only you can decide and justify for yourself the use of deadly force, even if it is so very evident that the bad guy caused everything and he is at fault. Consider the cost-effective and prudent for killing someone over a $500 stereo, your TV, your not to mention moral considerations, your time, possible erroneous reputation, tarnishment, the stress of talking, or the stress for taking someone's life, and the many other legal considerations. I hope you were never faced with this terrible situation that you could avoid using deadly force in self-defense. But think ahead as the best for you, the best you can about the many complex factors to be prepared just in case. The screen jumped on me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, it really jumped. Okay,
It
so,
did.
oh, just
there we
in
go.
case. Yeah, it just jumped to a completely different screen. Okay. I certainly believe that anyone charged with the crime is presumed innocent until proven guilty. However, that doesn't mean that you will always be treated as if you were innocent throughout the process, even if you're the good guy or the good girl. Keep in mind that self-defense is an affirmative defense, meaning, in order to claim the elements of self-defense, the defendant, you, must first admit committing the act. The defendant has the involved task of showing why his actions were justified. It's not a criminal act, and persuading the judge or the jury to see it that way. There are a lot of legal considerations for using a firearm or a weapon in self-defense. I have presented just a few of them here. In my firearms training classes, I will use a checklist with the list of these and many more variables to consider the various scenarios. Make sure that you're aware of the factors, think ahead about them, and have a plan for considering many variables in your use of deadly force, and be able to cover them as quickly as you can in a real situation. Okay? I love what he has to say. I do cover this in my courses. I hope that other firearms instructors do. And for all of those people out there that did get a CWP and didn't experience those scenarios of shoot and don't shoot scenarios, perhaps attend a course that does offer that. That doesn't mean you have to go through the whole CWP course again. It's just another more advanced course. Training with IDPA and many other competition shootings, and it's out there. It's available. It's ready at hand. So.
Yep. Yeah, for those people that really want to go in there and really get some good training and stuff like that, look up on YouTube, and there's a couple of Blackwater courses you can take, $2,000-$3,000 for like a week to 2 weeks. It'll teach you how to use all those assault rifles and those those guns that we're not supposed to have, and it'll teach you a good future to possibly get you a job in Blackwater.
My good question is, because I will now that I've learned that definition of an assault rifle, I will never call my AR-15 an assault rifle because it just has the cosmetics that looks like one. It's a look-alike.
Yeah.
What are they going to do with the 22s that look like the ARs? Are they going to ban those too?
Well, hey.
Yeah, it has the same features. It's a look-alike too.
I mean, we all seen those, we've seen the list that most of these people haven't even seen. And, even on this,
Yeah, we spoke about it. It was so enormous. I think, I don't know, 36 pages.
Yeah, it covered damn near every gun there was.
Yeah.
So, and it's just, it's ridiculous. And, this is where the people need to understand.
And then you got Biden saying, buy a shotgun.
Yeah. Well, you know something? Hey, too bad Cheney still wasn't around, because I'd like to have Biden go hunting with Dick Cheney.
Yeah, right? That would be great. And then he would have to apologize to him because that's his way.
Yeah, no, because he's just, hey, if you're a dumbass, you get out in front of the shotgun, you deserve what you get. And it's just like, and it kills me to think This guy's our vice president.
Yeah, unbelievable. Anyway, so I wanted to give a shout out to Colonel Benjamin Finley. Colonel Ben has been retired with with 30 years of service in the U.S. Air Force and with joint services and weapon training, special ops duty in various base and Air Force, qualified as an expert in small arms. Ben is an NRA certified pistol instructor, an NRA range safety officer, and a Florida concealed carry license instructor, Armed Citizens Legal Self-Defense Network affiliated instructor, and a USA Carry registered instructor. So kudos to him. He went and did everything awesome. And thank you for serving our country, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, hey, we need to try and get him on here.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, I think it'd be fantastic.
So, someday, I'm actually going to try to, I actually am going to attempt to see if I can't get someone to come on our show. But So, alrighty. So, with reading that, I thought that was really good. And then I found another article, which we might have to do a to be continued, because I think I had the cue that I only have a few more minutes left. But so what'll be on next week's show is a couple of more articles that are interesting like that. I like that aspect of doing a little mixture of everything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So feel-good measures that do not fix the real problems we are facing. Within recent acts of violence in Connecticut, a young man whose mentally was the first was that of a child, killed his mother, then went to the elementary school, continuing on a killing spree. He killed 20 people and later committed suicide as law enforcement was arriving. I'm not sure why it's doing that. As a parent and a former law officer, I am deeply troubled by these acts. My heart goes out to everyone whose life was drastically changed on that day, the acts of a killer bent on revenge against his community. The media has begun calling for more gun control. The request for more gun control has been latched onto a liberal political leaders who travel with the personal bodyguards provided by our tax dollars, trying to further their own agendas. Most of these politicians come from communities in the states and have some of the toughest gun control laws in the nation. The same communities also suffer from the highest crime rates in the nation. I would like to know if any of these politicians would like to walk through our own communities without those unarmed guards. I would be surprised if they would. Law enforcement is calling along with the NRA for preparing for violent attacks, training for teachers, parents, law enforcement, and those who would be responding to the incidences so we can recognize the warning signs before the event. On December 17th, 2012, San Antonio, Texas, a man opened fire in a restaurant, then ran into the movie theater parking lot, shooting one person and going in to enter the movie theater, firing one shot, missing everyone. An off-duty sheriff's deputy working security then shot the gunman, stopping him. Knee-jerk reactions ignore these real issues. These killers, all of these have similar patterns of antisocial behavior, obsessions with paying back the community for wronging them. And a large number of these killers suffer from mental illness. And a newsflash, when you fill out a 4473, we have that already on there. Have you been adjudicated mentally defective? So even with them trying to present this, it's already there. Work the laws we already have. So, why do killers select places like gun-free zones and carry out their acts of violence? Fueled by their perceived suffering from the wrongs that have been done to them by their society. They want us all to pay for these perceived wrongdoings. Yet they feel these gun-free zones are a safe haven for them to carry out their brand of revenge. Has our society created this anomaly? The creation of gun-free zones, zero tolerance, and any violence gives these killers a place to act out their murderous revenge on our communities without fear of force of being stopped by them immediately. Does the school reinforce the mentality there that there is no violence in a gun-free zone by removing the students who act out from the school. The simple acts of making these threats of a violence or a fight between schools will expel them temporarily, if not permanently, from these cases. The belief is the belief is these safe havens will be a safe place for our children and learn to grow in. These administrators and politicians who first envisionized the gun-free zones creating a safe place may have never considered the same safe haven could attract a killer bent on personal revenge. The policies and laws in creating a gun-free zone may cause people at the scene to suffer from an indecisiveness due to the mindset instilled by the system designed to protect them. We know that in the past, some of these people have acted bravely in putting themselves between the killer and the others during their last acts. It is interesting because the person may have chosen to become mentally prepared, properly trained, or equipped, even if they had been given the option. Instead of being given the false hopes of a gun-free zone, would keep them safe. Having unarmed teachers and volunteers watch for suspicious people coming into the school grounds and are nothing more than the first victims to greet a killer when they arrive to your school. The proper reaction to active violence. It is common knowledge by those who train in our military, law enforcement, and private trainers in personal protection training. When responding to active violence, the only reaction capable of stopping a violent person is by responding with that equal and greater use of force. However, even those who could act as a volunteer security will not be effective unless the system has a proper development, training, and equipped for the volunteers. A system like this could work with the proper support, development, training, and equipment overseen by law enforcement. Law enforcement officers will respond. When we talk about your local law enforcement, they are the response to the killer embarking on the murder spree, making society pay. Not every community will be able to afford to pay law enforcement officers stationed in their schools. And in some communities, responding to officers may be on the scene in minutes. In rural areas, responses times could last as long as a half hour or more, depending on the state highway patrol troopers or sheriff or deputies responding to that where they're responding from. In some cases, these officers might be at the furthest that they can be from the scene, and they are all dispatched to the call. In other parts of our nation, they may not only have one or two officers for their community. These officers could be at home sleeping after working a night shift only to be awoken by a phone call for them to come to help. More gun laws will have limited effects on stopping these types of violence, as criminals do not abide by our current laws. If stricter laws were enacted, these killers would only find their ways to get other ways to get firearms. Cutting instruments, blunt force weapons, motor vehicles, and so on. These killers will still be attracted to places where they expect little or no resistance, and they will set up to take their revenge out on our communities. A real solution in changing this system that uses policies and laws for the ineffectual and deterring stopping these killers are bent on taking revenge in all our communities. The only effective way of stopping a violent act or a killer in progress is to use force effectively, quickly, bringing the killer to a stop. And that was written by
Matt Schulter.
Schulter, and he's a retired deputy sheriff from the Lake County Sheriff's officially located in South Dakota, with over 19 years of experience in the corrections and law enforcement and the position of firearms. Let me see, it just scrolled up a little bit. This thing likes to jump. So, it jumped all the way, didn't it?
He gave us a 2-minute sign.
Yeah, so, it jumped all the way up like that? Isn't that wild? Let me see. So, let me see. Okay, so he's the Lake Matt Schulter is a retired deputy sheriff from Lake County Sheriff's office located in South Dakota with over 19 years of combined experience in corrections and law enforcement. and held the position of firearms instructor in the DARE program, Officers with the Lake County Sheriff's Office, until his retirement. He is also an NRA certified pistol instructor, owner and chief instructor of the Schulter firearms instruction. Matt's goal is to provide the best information possible for those who share the interest in shooting firearms. And Matt's goals also include providing the best training courses possible for students who attend his courses that he's offering. So I just wanted to share that with you, some really, really awesome articles. And I wanted to thank everybody out there for tuning into my show. And there are so many other awesome, awesome shows on the Talkwad Radio Network. So the website to get to check out all of these sites is you would go to www.talkwad.com. That's TALKWAD.com. If you ever wanted to call in or become a show host, you just simply call the number 727-493-2055. And so when you could also become an advertiser or a sponsor if you'd like to do that, or maybe even group together with a bunch of your friends and do your own radio show, which is kind of cool. We have 2 locations in Clearwater and in Tampa.
Yep.
Yeah.
Soon to be all across America.
Oh, yeah. We're getting very, very excited and fired up about it. It actually is. This is actually worldwide. Anybody in the world could tap in and watch my show, which is cool. And could watch your show and anybody else's.
Definitely.
So the best way to view these shows is to actually go to talkwad.com. And then you can click under what genre of talk show you want to listen to. So it's very interesting out there. I also wanted to thank our techie, which is Adam Kokovius. Did I pronounce it right? I don't know. Close enough. And he does the Nerdcore. How's that show go again?
Oh, we're a Nerdorama on nerdcoreradio.com.
Awesome. So
Sunday nights at 10.
Awesome. So I just wanted to thank him out there for all of your techie questions. He is out there for you. So you can call him too when he does his show at 727-493-2055. Any parting words?
Nah, stay safe and don't let somebody take your TV, because if he does me, I'm going to sit there, I'm going to trip him, and then I'm going to hit him with the TV. That way he'll know that, yeah.
Well, that's force met with force.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I can't help it if the guy trips and the TV hits him.
There we go. Force
met
force.
Shoot him.
Yeah.
Should have.
Alrighty, guys. Good night.
No matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause.